There are so many smartphone controllers out there these days, but at least there is now one clear recommendation. Just get the GameSir G8 Plus. The predecessor to this model was already my favourite in the category. The GameSir G8 Galileo just felt like a regular gamepad controller, and it really was the most comfortable option you had to play games on your smartphone. So let's take a quick look at both of these controllers and ask why it's such a big improvement. On the face of it, not too much has changed. Both of these controllers retain that wonderfully comfortable gamepad form factor and all of the modern features you'd associate with controllers released these days. A nice clicky D-pad with very satisfying face buttons, which can be remapped along with the two additional back buttons you get on the rear of the controller, and Hall effect triggers and joysticks, which are going to be less prone to drift over time. You can get a range of options if you want to swap out the thumbsticks, and it's incredibly easy to do with these magnetic face plates that simply snap off the controller and allow you access to the buttons underneath. These controllers are exactly the same form factor, so you can actually mix and match faceplates if you have both controllers to hand, but it would be great to see some custom designs come out in the future. Now, looking under the hood like this is where you see some of the big differences start to emerge between the G8 Plus and the G8 Galileo, because on the G8 Plus, you can now also swap those face buttons, or at least reorder them to best fit the system that you want to play on. As a default, this is going to come with the Xbox 360 style layout. Because I'm mostly going to be using this for the Nintendo Switch, I've rearranged it into the Switch layout. And really, this is the huge upgrade for this controller, because you're no longer relying on a USB-C connection into your smartphone. This is actually going to connect to a wide range of devices using Bluetooth. It also opens about an inch further than the G8 Galileo, which means this really is a perfect choice for lots of different phones, tablets, and the Nintendo Switch. Because this is now a Bluetooth controller, it will have a 1000 mAh battery inside, which adds a bit of weight. I actually think that makes it feel a little bit more premium, but of course you will also have to keep it charged, so it does come with a cable. It also adds a gyroscope and rumble features to the controller. These upgrades do come with some slight drawbacks. For example, because of that USB-C port at the base of the G8 Plus, there's now no room for a headphone jack. So if you really do like playing with a wired headphone connection, then the G8 Galileo is still the option to go for. And of course, opinions on the colour options may vary. But enough of that, let's take a look at some actual systems you can use this for. Even on a smartphone device, whether that's Android or iPhone, losing that USB-C port is actually a big upgrade, because it means you don't have to take your phone out of the case in order to insert it into the controller. This always felt like a big inconvenience to me, because I didn't want to risk taking my phone out of its case and then either losing the case or damaging the phone. So knowing that it's kept nice and protected in that case while enclosed in the G8 Plus itself is a big win. Just for size comparison, here is the Nothing Phone 2A, and you'll see that despite being a very slim and light phone, it still feels very safe and secure inside of this controller. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which fits really well in this controller too, and that huge camera bump is not going to impact the way it's positioned within the controller. To up the screen size even further, this now works beautifully on something like an iPad mini or any other tablet you have your hands on. And if you want to hear more about this, make sure to subscribe, because I've got some iPad mini reviews coming up, and the GameSir G8 Plus will absolutely feature. Really though, the big win for this controller is going to be how it works with the Nintendo Switch. 7 or 8 years later, Nintendo still haven't done much to address the issue of stick drift in the Joy-Cons, and I'm currently on my 3rd version of them, so switching to something like the G8 Plus just feels like a much better long-term option. Being relatively heavy-handed, the G8 Plus is also a lot more comfortable for me to grip over a long period of time, and the fact that I can now switch those buttons around to match the Nintendo Switch layout just makes this a really great option. It's actually a lot more comfortable than something like the cracked Nitro Deck Plus, and still retains a lot of the customization options that you would get in that controller. The one big difference is that you could get the Nitro Deck Plus and also use it as a dock, whereas for the GameSir G8 Plus, you're going to have to take it out of the controller every time you actually want to dock it. But the fact that you can just take one game controller with you and have it work on a range of different systems you've got, and even just connect it Bluetooth to a docked position and play on the couch, it just makes it such a great controller. GameSir do state on their website that this can connect to a PC, and although I could find a Bluetooth connection with my Legion Go, it just wouldn't actually connect properly. It is entirely possible to connect to the Legion Go with a cable, but then you have the issue of how well it actually fits in the G8 Plus itself. The Legion Go is a pretty thick console, and in fact it barely fits within the width of the controller. You can actually see the back plate of the controller like bending to try and fit the Legion Go within its claws, and it is prone to kind of pop out every now and again if you're not careful. Also, that backplate does block the ventilation of the Legion Go, which probably isn't a good idea. And so yeah, if you're thinking about getting a more comfortable controller for the Legion Go, then yeah, this isn't it. That said, the sheer versatility and performance of this controller across a wide range of devices means that it's just a perfect controller to have on you. I can absolutely see myself going on a weekend away, taking my Nintendo Switch with me, and then having the option to use one controller for both the Switch and my iPad if I want to do something like remote play at home. The G8 Plus is coming in at around £80 or US dollars at the moment, so if you want a slightly cheaper option, then I would recommend checking out this video next. But let me know what you think about this controller in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.